Hey guys, Joe Pye here at Advanced Innovations in Austin, Texas. Welcome back to the shop. Today's video is going to be about making these little guys as precise as you can. And it doesn't necessarily, well, the ones that are on there are so small you can't even see them. Well, there you go. The philosophy behind creating something like this or parting a piece off is relatively easy once you have tools that are coordinated. And I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than an uncoordinated tool. I'll tell you, that'll ruin your day pretty quick. These are the tools that I use primarily for my turning and parting. Now, this used to be a grooving tool, but it was so ideal because it's got a nice little hollow ground relief to the top. And the tip, as you can see, or maybe not, is tipped this way. Now, what that does is it forces the part to drop off. If you're parting a piece off through to a bore, this very tip of the tool being on the part side of the part operation will drop off first, leaving a small crown on this side. If you continue through naturally, it'll part the crown off as well, but it's nice to have a part drop off the machine that you don't have to readdress after it drops off. That is always a good thing, especially if you have a lot of pieces. Now, so what? We have two tools. How do I know how thick the part's going to be? There's a couple of different ways you can establish that. But the one thing you can be sure of, that the distance from this face right here to that cutting edge, this surface right here, is the same registration surface on this tool. So this height or this distance from here to here and from here to there are distances that sooner or later you're going to have to discover what that distance is. And it's a lot easier than you may think. If you have a digital readout on your machine, it is a piece of cake. If you have a drop indicator tied to your carriage, it is also a piece of cake. So I'm going to set the tool up. I'm going to go with the whole razor blade trick and show you the initial easy way to establish where your parting tool is so you can get an accurate length on the part that comes off. And then I'm going to show you the real world way between these two. And if you have a piece of blue tape or a white marker, you write the number on the back of your tool. That would be tip number one. If you sharpen or change either one of these tools, that number is going to change. So make sure that you keep track of, this is the tool that faces the part, this is the tool that cuts it off. These two are usually side by side on my tool register with a shelf on the back of my machine. If I sharpen it, I will reestablish the number every time. So let me show you how easy that is to actually drop a piece off to a very accurate overall length. For sake of demonstration, I am using 5/16 diameter brass. That is 312. That is about 8 millimeters-ish. And there is a 145 hole in the center. I want to make let's say a 15 thousandths thick washer out of this material, and I want to do it relatively accurately. Now I'm going to take tool number one. I'm going to face that part off and zero out my digital readout or zero out your indicator, whatever you have to do. So let's face this thing off. And I'm just going to say now, because someone's going to put this in the comment line, absolutely, if the face of this tool was perfectly perpendicular to the axis of the machine, going to get the tool off, all you would need to do is bump the part with the tool completely engaged now and then back it off, and you could create a flat face on this part all day long. Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Right now I've just faced that part off. The carriage has not moved and my digital readout is set to 0. So this tool, I could turn steps on that part, I could turn the OD, whatever. I'll know that the face of that part with the relationship of that tool is always 0 on the digital. Sometimes part does push into the holding device if there's too much pressure, or depending on the material, as you turn it, it may actually grow. So if the part is really critical, always redust the face before you part it off. That is step number one. Step number two, here comes the parting tool. You can see that the inside working edge of that parting tool, right there, is beyond the face. So the digital readout is going to have to start to move in a positive direction right now in order for that tool to register on the same plane. And here's the razor blade trick that you may have seen me use a million times. And the more I watch YouTube, the more I see other people doing it as well. Anyway, drag a razor blade across the face of your part, making sure that it's not rocking back and forth. Keep it nice and flat. And you can hear a tick. See the tick? Probably not ideal for the tool, but I'm bumping my carriage until that tick doesn't present itself anymore. That's really close. All right, so my magic number is plus 65. This tool has to move 65 thousandths farther than the facing tool before the inside edge of that tool right there will start to give me any type of part when I part it off. So I'm going to call this tool 65. Now at this point you have two options. You can re-zero your digital and go for a true reading, or you can add that 65 to the thickness of the part that you want to drop off. Let's say 15 is what I'm looking for. So 65 plus 15 is 80. I'm going to look for 80 on my digital readout. It's easy to go by that. 80. Okay, now I should be able to part off a 15 thousandths thick brass washer off of this material that comes off clean and leaves a burr on this side of the stock with ease. Sounds good on paper. Let's see what happens. Now bear in mind, any radius on the corner of the tool right here will translate to a small elevation on the part. So a dead sharp tool is really important right now. Let's part off, see what happens. 15 thousandths thick is what I'm looking for. Okay, there's your part. Nice and clean. There may be a little crown on it, but the crown is left right here. Now, if I continue to push this tool through, this will also come off. There you go. You do not want that hanging onto your finished part. The part's still hanging on here. Let's take a look at it. That is really clean. I'm going to put a micrometer on this and we're going to check it. I'll check it on the edge and I'll check it in the center to see if there's any deflection or crowning of this particular part. And that'll let me know if the number 65 is a real number. If this part is a thousandth over or under, I will make that adjustment to the standard value that I use for this tool. And that should give me exactly what I'm looking for. This technique comes in real handy when you have a small part, multiple steps, washers, whatever. But there you go. Let's take it over to the bench and check it out. I'm going to leave it on there until I get there. Good way to clean anvils on a mic is to trap it on a piece of paper and drag the paper out. Just make sure that there's no sticky on that paper. If you've got to do it a couple times, do it a couple times. And you don't have to crush down on it, just wipe it. Let's see what we got. That is about a tenth over. I'll live with it for now. I'm not going to adjust it on camera, but that's what that little hole is for. Spanner wrench turns the entire barrel and you can put it wherever you want it. All right, moment of truth. You can See, that is a really paper thin item. Going to go right on the edge. This would be the indicator whether or not the tool was positioned correctly. It's about 15 3/10. That's 3/10,000ths of an inch. That means if you took this piece of paper and split this paper horizontally 40 times and took only 3 of the leaves, that's the error. That's nothing. Okay, let's say 15 3 on the edge. Let's go to the center. Maybe a little more. But if you're looking for an accurate way to do that part, well, you just found it. That is a really good way to do that. Very reliable way, and it's applicable for a variety of pieces. You don't just have to make washers. You can make bushings, collars, whatever you need to do. Once you know the distance between the face of your original facing tool or turning tool and the inside edge of that parting tool, you can part with confidence all day long. All right, well, if that's the end of this particular segment, I don't throw anything else in this mix. Thank you for hanging in. I appreciate you watching. So wherever you are in the world, I hope you're well and happy and safe. All of the above. It's getting tougher to do all 3 at the same time, but I wish you all well. It's Joe Pye at Advanced Innovations in Austin, Texas. I'm out.